transitioning to be walls. "Did you hear that? What's happening? Someone spat a lemon sherbet at me." Then came the scream. And what a scream it was. A rattling, terrible, bone-chilling scream from somewhere on the floor above. The anxious museum visitors fell instantly silent, and Bonnie felt Grampa Banks squeeze her hand even tighter. The only light was a sickly green glow from a single fire exit sign, and it cast crooked, dancing shadows all around Bonnie. Shadows that seemed to have claws and teeth. Something, thought Bonnie, is afoot. Many people go their whole lives without noticing anything that is afoot, amiss, or even untoward, without ever experiencing that toe-tingling, tummy-twisting sensation that a mystery is about to unfold. Bonnie Montgomery noticed things that were afoot all the time, because, unlike most 10-year-old girls, she was the world's finest detective. This fact was known only to Bonnie herself and Grampa Banks. Even Bonnie's mum did not know. This fact was a secret, because 10-year-old girls are not allowed to be detectives, and they are certainly not allowed to solve murders, because murder is frowned upon. Bonnie was a great detective, even though she had never officially solved a case. A mysterious gentleman known as Montgomery Bonbon, however, had assisted the authorities on numerous occasions. Montgomery Bonbon could not be reached by telephone, and nobody knew where he lived. All they knew was that he was an unusually short man with a shabby old raincoat, a big, bristly moustache, and an accent that was very hard to place. While Bonnie was on a school exchange trip to Switzerland, it was Bonbon who unmasked cheese billionaire Mandrake Le Suisse as the Emmental bandit. When the Rusakova Ballet came to Bonnie's hometown, it was Bonbon who restored the Rusakova diamonds to the person Countess Rusakova had stolen them from. And when Bonnie visited the Widlington Wildfowl Park, it was Bonbon who busted an international owl smuggling ring, resulting in the arrests of over 12 owls. Bonnie felt Grampa Banks gently loosen his grip on her hand. Both of them knew that Montgomery Bonbon was needed in the Hornville Museum today. The darkness was like a black velvet curtain drawn around her as she transformed into the renowned detective. She did not need a mirror. She had done this many times before. First, she unzipped her backpack and pulled on his old raincoat. Second, she tugged her beret down at a jaunty angle that implied a keen and inquisitive mind. She was already wearing the beret, of course. Whether you were a 10-year-old girl or a mysterious foreign gentleman, you still look good in a beret. Finally, she produced a sticky false moustache and pressed it into place on her upper lip, giving it a few wiggles to make sure it was secure. Then she threw back her shoulders and took a deep breath. Bonnie Montgomery had become Montgomery Bonbon. Chapter 2. The Turret Room. While other visitors bumped into one another and began to panic, Bonnie and Grampa Banks headed towards the upper floor, moving in the direction the dreadful scream had come from. Bonnie could not help imagining the glassy eyes of Hornville's monsters watching her as she creaked and squeaked her way up the museum's old staircase. She paused for a moment at the top of the stairs while Bonbon's mind whirred to life inside her head. Grampa Banks puffed his way up the stairs behind her, taking careful steps in his immaculate crepe-soled shoes. In the words of Bonnie's mum, Grampa Banks was always well turned out. He had worked as an ice cream vendor for 40 years and never once got a blob of tutti frutti on his outfit. To this day, he still put on a cravat before taking out the bins. The upper floor was even darker than the main hall. Unidentifiable, winged creatures hung down from the ceiling and swung gently above Bonnie's head. There was no way of knowing where exactly the scream had come from, but Bonnie could hear a bang, 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 crunch, coming from nearby. "Did you hear that, Bonbon, old man?" asked Grampa Banks, slightly out of breath and loosening his cravat. "I was hearing it most clearly, Banks." Grampa Banks always referred to Montgomery Bonbon as old man, or old chap, or sometimes old bean. Never, ever, Bonnie. Montgomery Bonbon usually referred to Grampa Banks simply as Banks. Never, ever, Grandpa. When Bonbon was not on a case, Grampa Banks was the boss. He was in charge of driving places and looking after the lemon sherbets. But when Bonbon was on a case, Bonnie was the boss. Banks was her assistant. "Foul play, do you reckon?" asked Grampa Banks. "It is certainly sounding like it, mon ami," replied Bonnie, in Montgomery Bonbon's unidentifiable foreign accent.